Running a business comes with a lot of what ifs, but luckily there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Atheists, agnostics, long-haired weirdos, short-haired weirdos, vandals, hooligans.
The government, hug the government, love the government, hug the government, love the government, hug the government.
Welcome to The Politics Guys, a place for bipartisan, rational, and civil debate on American politics and policy.
I'm Justin Holmes, a professor of political science at the University of Northern Iowa, and I'm joined today by Sam Dewey, who's a D.C. attorney. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's nice talking to you. So we've got a couple things to cover this week, and I thought you could go ahead and kick us off.
So, I just wanted to flag there have been some rulings on the so-called Alcatraz Island Detention Center. And I think those are interesting because they're predicated under a environmental statute called NEPA in the main. And NEPA deals with the requirement to do analysis, environmental impact on various things. And it's come up in the immigration context before. It came up with the building of the wall, and there was a statute that effectively waived NEPA, and there were other statutes that let the president waive NEPA. And I think the reason it's interesting is you have this injunction that's not really about the merits per se. It's predicated on, okay, there's going to be a problem with how Alligator Alcatraz affects wetlands, flows of water, etc. But I think the interesting part that a lot of people miss is this flows both ways. The Biden open border policies, there was a case that was being litigated, and where the groups opposing the open border policies won, saying, well, wait a second, if you open the border, you're certainly affecting water flow, riparian rights in Texas, because of the way that those are affected by illegal immigration. Well documented. A lot of the witnesses in that case are now Trump administration officials. So the question that we have is kind of a nuanced one. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. There's going to be an appeal, may get reversed, but I think it's interesting to flag that it's not, this theory they're using is not confined to you can't build the prison. It has equal, if not more, application to open borders policy. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this area of law unfolds.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. Certainly from where I've been, sitting, you don't see a whole lot, as far as the environmental side of Alligator Alcatraz, which I always feel funny saying, but then I remember that's literally what they're calling it. So anyway, but here we are. But, certainly from sort of a left perspective, this is not something that's been raised as a major issue that I can tell, but it is certainly in line with some of those more liberal priorities. So, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I suppose this is one of those scenarios where, the whole thing, except for kind of your point, which we'll come back to, but, a lot of this really does cleanly line up along electoral or partisan lines, where certainly Republicans, would like to have the camp and don't like environmental law for the most part, and, flip that around for Democrats and liberals. So it's sort of interesting there. It is a little, it's a little weird that this would be of all the things, the thing that might, bring this down. It certainly isn't the main objection that people have raised. What do you think, in terms of the appeal? I mean, obviously the government's going to appeal on this because, certainly this is kind of a signature policy area that they've got going on, et cetera. What do you think the likelihood here of appeal? How is this going to play out eventually? I mean, there is kind of a statute here, and certainly building it fast, seems to have violated some of that. Is the relief going to be actually shutting it down, do you think? Is that going to stand?
No, I think it's going to be, you can keep it, but go back and do the assessment. And there's not really much there because they built this on an airfield. It's not an environmental impact. This is not It's so narrow, and the president also may be able to waive some of it under an emergency statute. And if they got the procedure wrong, okay, they got the procedure wrong. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to see the president's authority upheld in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I mean, I take those, the environmental concerns seriously. I've certainly got other concerns as far as Alligator Alcatraz goes, but in a lot of ways, this kind of feels like a non-starter. Was my sense.
Look, I mean, I think Alligator Alcatraz is. I mean, you could see it when Trump visited. He was a little disappointed, and I think part of that is it's inefficient. It's expensive detention space versus just putting bunk beds in all the existing facilities. That's the easy way to do it. Just slap bunk beds in where you have a single bed, and that's that. I'm not necessarily sure we need this. This seemed like a Kristi Noem photo op more than anything else in terms of motivation. So just for what it's worth.
I'm with you there. Yeah, I mean, this it seems largely about the optics, And
I don't think it's even Trump's optics. I want to be very clear. This is a Kristi Noem special in my mind.
Yeah, she does like to take pictures in front of stuff, it seems like. So, yeah, I think we're there. So, all right. Well, any parting thoughts on that one, or are we ready to?
Let's stand by and just remember it's a weird legal issue that cuts both ways.
Yeah. So kind of another breaking story here. Friday morning, there was an FBI raid on John Bolton's home in looking for kind of improperly retained documents, et cetera, is what it appears to be. This is certainly a breaking story. Do you have any insight into this, Sam?
I think it's so developing that I can just issue spot. The first thing I would say is that when John Bolton published his book, he effectively published it without completing the pre-classification review process because he claimed it was being delayed. The administration claimed that this is the first Trump administration claim. No, we're not delaying it. This is just the normal process. You've resolved a lot of our objections. We're working through them. Bolton said, I'm publishing. The Trump 1 administration sought an injunction to block the publication. And it went in front of a judge, Royce Lamberth, who's ruled against Trump in a lot of cases previously. So not, a judge who's going to reflexively endorse the president. And what he said was, you know what, I'm not going to enjoin publication because it's a prior restraint. And we just don't do that unless this book's published and then, a day later, soldiers are dying expressly because of it. But he also said, look, Bolton does this at his peril. He's without protection of pre-approval. If there's classified information in there, he's running the risk of prosecution, period. And data point 2, we've been told that there was an investigation suspended by the Biden administration for political purposes. Data point 3, for the FBI to raid his house, they would have needed a search warrant. Bolton lives in Maryland, which is in the Southern Division of the Federal District of Maryland. Every one of those magistrate judges is appointed by the federal court in the District of Maryland that Trump is literally suing right now. They are all liberals, every one of them, because the senators use the blue slips to block any Republican appointments. So a magistrate judge appointed by liberal district judges who do not like the president authorized this search. And what I think you are going to find is that there is a wealth of basis for the search in the affidavit. And I think that's the thing that people have been missing from this discussion, is that this search would have been authorized by at least a federal magistrate. And it appears it was authorized in the normal course, which would be a magistrate judge, all of whom are liberals, who was appointed by a liberal bench. Kind of the exact opposite situation you had with Mar-a-Lago, where you had a judge who arguably had a conflict of interest and disliked the president. Here you have the opposite. This is about as good a bench as Bolton could get, and yet the search was approved.
As a sports fan, I have to confess, sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com. Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Yeah, so I think I did kind of go there. I mean, this is certainly an emerging issue, and that if the FBI is there, clearly they've gotten a warrant from the courts, and so there may be something there. I find the timing a little suspect in some ways. I mean, Bolton has been very critical of Trump as of late, and lo and behold, he gets searched, first thing in the morning, which does feel like a bit of a conflict of interest in some ways. Everything is pretty mum, as far as this goes. And, he was kind of playing coy a little bit about what role he had in this exactly in his public statement. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, as far as pushing this. So I guess in some ways, there is sort of a wait and see approach here in terms of what happens. I think certainly, if he's able to get a warrant, if the FBI is able to get a warrant, that certainly indicates that there's some manner of probable cause. And of course, 24 hours later, we wouldn't expect, sort of the results yet. The flip side of this is certainly, to my mind, this does have the potential feel of Trump going after people who are critics, people he doesn't like, et cetera. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see where this shakes out in the end.
It has that feel, to be sure, but I think it's far less egregious than some of the stuff that happened under the prior administration. When you look at the bench and you look at the fact that, Bolton was warned by the judge. I'm not going to stop publication, but they have every right to look into this.
Mm-hmm.
He was literally told by Royce Lamberth back when this book was published, they have every right to investigate you, because if they're right, you could be prosecuted. Now, I'm not going to stop the publication because they can't show that someone's going to die tomorrow because of this, but he was warned. I am surprised he did what he did, to be frank, because he's a smart lawyer, and generally you just should not publish without pre-publication because it opens you up for a nightmare of compliance. And I just don't see I grant you the timing is not good, but a lot of times the timing is never good in these cases. And I just think we have to see how it unfolds. And I do think it is significant that there was an investigation that was suspended by Biden that has been reinstated and was able to get a warrant. But that said, let's see. I just want to flag for everybody where to look and what's going to be important. It's going to be in the statement, the application to get that warrant, what's in there. And I think the other data point to remember is Trump didn't order the FBI in. This was a warrant granted by a liberal judge from a court that hates the president and has been reversed many times for just egregious rulings against the president that have no basis in law and are contrary to Supreme Court precedent. Those are the judges who approve this warrant.
I guess my little pushback there, the FBI instigates this, and certainly Kash Patel is very much at the president's mercy here. I think that getting the warrant, I think, is an excellent point, and that was certainly a thought that I had. In terms of kind of reopening the investigation, in terms of pushing for the warrant, et cetera, I guess it remains to be seen.
No doubt. And I would say, look, regardless of party, I would have hoped the judge was you can't change the standard. Probable cause is probable cause, but I would hope the judge took the time to really dig into the warrant. And I'm not saying they don't always do that. I'm just saying I would hope they were very careful on this one. And
presumably this is super sensitive.
I would want that done regardless. Remember, if the judge has a question, they can either deny the warrant or they can say the affiant for here, and they can start cross-examining the affiant. They could say, I'm not going to grant you a warrant on this affiant. Denied. If you want a warrant, come back and bring the senior FBI official who authorized this, because I want to talk to him under oath. They can do all of that. And it is a powerful check if properly exercised. And I think that that's something to think about. So open issue. We'll see where it goes. Just bear in mind, I think that the Trump ordered the FBI to raid. Oh, my God, this is authoritarianism. I just urge everybody hold up on that. This was a warrant approved by a liberal bench that hates Trump and is frequently reversed for ruling against him.
We hope you enjoyed this preview of our supporters-exclusive midweek show. If you'd like to hear the rest of the episode, we hope you'll consider becoming a supporter. Supporters get ad-free access to all of our shows, membership in our Politics Guys Discord group where you can join in on the conversation, and other benefits at different levels of support. To become a supporter, go to patreon.com/politicsguys. You can also support us through Venmo or @politicsguys or through PayPal. You'll find all of our support links in the show notes as well as at politicsguys.com/support. And if you'd like to get the midweek show, but you're not in a position to become a financial supporter, that's not a problem. Just send me an email at mike@politicsguys.com, and I'll be happy to get that set up for you.
This podcast is part of the Democracy Group.